leadership, he has helped ensure our community stays informed, connected, and engaged. Beyond Georgetown, Mike is making an impact across the state as the 2026 president of the Kentucky Press Association. His influence in the industry is widely recognized. He was named one of Editor and Publisher's 20 over 50 in 2023, and in 2020 he was inducted to the Kentucky Journalism Hall of Fame. Mike's career spans multiple states, not just Kentucky, with experience in Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and the lovely Commonwealth. Along the way, he earned early recognition as an Associated Press Investigative Reporter of the Year and has since received numerous awards from press associations across the country. Equally important is his commitment to community service. Here in Georgetown, he has served on several local boards, including the Amen House, the Georgetown-Scott County Chamber of Commerce, United Way, where he served as president, as well as the United Way of Bluegrass and Salvation Army. On a personal note, Mike was born in El Paso, Texas, raised in Atmore, Alabama, and then he and his wife, Joanna, have been married for 37 years, which is quite an accomplishment, and have 2 adult children. So please join me in welcoming Mike.
Thanks for the invitation. I had the pleasure last week of meeting with Amanda, and I must say that you're very impressive and you're off to a great start. You've got a great team put together, so congratulations on that. We do have a newsroom here, and so you're rest assured that we're on deadline, so we will be out of here very soon. I wanted to start off and welcome a very special guest. David Thompson retired as Executive Director of the Kentucky Press Association in February after 42 years and 5 months. David is a Georgetown native. As KPA Director, David was instrumental in developing and protecting Kentucky's open meetings and open records laws. There are few people who have had more influence in Kentucky over the years protecting your right to public information. David, will you stand? When I was young, there was a convenience store probably about a half a mile or so from home, and every Sunday morning I'd get up and I'd go down to the store. And it was back when newspapers were big, and you'd have they'd have morning and afternoon editions, and on Sunday you had them combined, and there'd be stacks, and the papers would be huge. And I'd go in and I'd buy 2 or 3 of those papers every Sunday and bring them back to home. Dad would sit in his chair and I'd sit on the couch and we'd read newspapers. And when we came across a story that we thought was really interesting, we'd stop and talk about it. And I remember that's how I learned about world news, politics, and sports. War Eagle, go Auburn, sorry. But it was really a special time. And where I lived, I grew up in South Alabama, so there were papers from Mobile and Montgomery and Pensacola, Florida, and all. And among the local papers was the Atmore Advance, a small paper that I had the privilege later to be publisher. In fact, I pretty much did everything at the Atmore Advance over time, so that was a really special time for me. But I learned to really appreciate local news during that time. And I really appreciated the time I spent with Dad. And so it's, last week was the very first local news day that was held nationally. And I don't know if you heard about it or not, but at least there is an attention going back to local news. And so local journalism is important to a community. And what it does is it provides a historical perspective. If you want history about Scott County, some of you are new, some of you are young. You might want to learn a little bit about Scott County, and you do it through, a lot of it you do through the news graphic. If you do any kind of ancestral ancestral research and stuff, you would go back to newspapers and stuff. Newspaper is a watchdog over public institutions. It is a tie that binds us. Can you imagine, if you would, no newspaper? Newspapers help you to understand what's happening at City Hall, the courthouse, your schools, your courts, and your neighborhoods. As business and local community and business leaders, you depend upon information about what's being built, what is changing, what issues are being discussed and approved by our local elected officials, and where opportunities are emerging. This enables you to position your newspaper for your business, position your business for success. Sorry, I've been running newspapers long enough, it jumps in there. The news graphic provides that much needed information. We share your accomplishments. You know, I look out over this room now, and probably the majority of you have been, your name, your face, or both, has been in the newspaper more than once. Now, y'all were there positive, but there are people who show up who don't want to be in there. Recognize that. But most of you have been in the newspaper or will be in the newspaper. And your children will be in the newspaper. Your accomplishments, your children's accomplishments, your neighbors' accomplishments will all be celebrated in the newspaper. The news graphic provides that information. We also provide information about people who are helping others. You've heard a few minutes ago, people in Alabama, I was a member of the Lions Club, so I have an appreciation for what they do. There are people in this room that do tremendous things for this community, and we try to share that as much as we can. And it's important that you understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. But nothing can be taken for granted. Since 2005, over 3,500 community newspapers have closed, leaving some 2,000 U.S. counties without a printed media outlet, or no media at all, according to a Northwestern University report published last year. It is ironic, then, that the news graphic reaches more people than it ever has before. That is because we are more than just a newspaper. The printed paper is the hub of the wheel, but when you combine the printed news graphic, our website, Facebook, other social media sites, Sky Shopper Entertainment Guide, Georgetown Magazine, Healthy Living, and other publications, we are literally reaching tens of thousands of people each and every week. We have published books. We have produced documentaries. We have video news segments and are currently working on podcasts and a newsletter. We recently expanded our printed product into Harrison County. We now have a Harrison County section that comes out on Friday. We are a full information company providing the community with important information and giving you a way to reach your desired audience, as well through press releases, letters to the editor, and by advertising in our products, including targeted digital advertising delivered locally and beyond. The news graphic is one of the best community newspapers in Kentucky. We are currently the Kentucky General Excellence Award winner among weekly newspapers. We are one of only 9 printing plants remaining in Kentucky, and we are one of the largest. In March, we recorded 322 individual press runs. We print for the Kentucky Legislative Research Committee, the University of Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, Center College, multiple statewide newsletters, several high school papers, and several dozen community newspapers, including newspapers from Virginia, West Virginia, and Ohio. But all of us face challenges. Just as your supplies, groceries, and gas prices have increased, our costs have increased as well. Now, all of our newsprint comes from Canada. There were several U.S. mills that closed early last year. And so that has forced us to go to Canada. In the last year alone, the cost of aluminum plates, which is needed for printing, has gone up almost 32%. And that's all largely due to tariffs. Prices for newsprint, postage, and ink continue to rise as well. Another challenge we face is that journalism itself is under attack. We live in a time when journalists are mocked by leaders for simply asking a question they do not like, and entire media outlets are called fake news. Good, responsible journalism matters, and we as a nation and we as a community must work to keep it alive. Despite these challenges, the news graphic is still here. And let me tell you a story. In March of 2013, Scott County High School was going to play for the 6A State Football Championship. The week before the title game, Coach Jim McKee went before the media. There were newspapers, TV stations, media outlets from all over the state were gathered to interview Coach McKee. He came out and he looked across the crowd, and then he looked at the news graphics reporter, and he pointed to him and he said, "Come with me." And the two started walking away. But then another reporter said, "Coach, what are you doing?" And Coach stopped and he looked at the crowd and he said, "He has been here every day, every game. This is the first time I've seen some of you." Coach McKee gets it. We are here every day to tell your story. There is no other place where you will find such a full and complete story of Scott County than through the news graphic. Supporting the news graphic is an investment in your community. It is an investment in journalism. It is an investment in having informed residents, visible and successful businesses, an accountable government, and a community that knows itself well enough to invest and grow wisely. On behalf of everyone at the Georgetown News Graphic and Georgetown newspapers, I want to say that we are proud to be your information company, and we're proud to be part of the Scott County community. If you walk away with nothing but this, understand that this is your newspaper. It is not mine. I've been entrusted to lead it, and I hope I've done reasonable over the 30 years. But it's your newspaper. It is your newspaper because you cannot take this newspaper and put it anywhere else. It is your newspaper. And you have some responsibility for its success and its failure. So I encourage you to read it. I encourage you to support it. I encourage you to lift it up because journalism, as I've said before, is very much under attack. And without responsible journalism, I'm afraid democracy is doomed. Thank you again for this opportunity.